Picture this. You haven't eaten in 2 full days, but you know exactly where the herd is moving. You tracked them yesterday. You found their trail. You mapped out the whole route inside your head. All that's left is to actually go get there. And then, without warning, the rain starts falling. Not a light little drizzle either. A heavy, soaking, wind-driven rain that just refuses to let up. It pours all day long. Then it keeps going through the entire night. By the next morning, it's still coming down hard. So now you can't hunt at all. You can't even see tracks anymore, because the mud has completely washed them away. You can't move through open ground either, since wet earth and bare feet on rocky terrain means a twisted ankle is coming. And out here, a twisted ankle basically means death. The river near your camp keeps rising higher, and the fire, the one single thing keeping you warm, keeping predators far away, and keeping you alive at all, is now starting to struggle badly. You're not bored right now. You're trapped. For most of human history, rain wasn't just some minor inconvenience. It was a full-blown crisis. And what ancient humans actually did during that crisis might matter more than anything they ever did on a clear, sunny day. Today, when rain starts falling, you just close the window, brew some coffee, maybe grab a warm blanket, and open up Netflix. You sink into that perfect cozy spot on the couch and just relax completely. For you, rain is nothing more than background noise. It makes you feel calm, sleepy, relaxed. You might not even finish the episode before drifting off. But for a human being 50,000 years ago, that exact same rain, that same sound lulling you to sleep right now, could have killed them in 3 completely different ways before it even stopped falling. The first danger was cold. A wet human loses body heat up to 25 times faster than a dry one does. Without clothing, without any waterproof shelter, a long rainstorm below 50 degrees could drop your core temperature into dangerous hypothermia within just a few hours. Most of the world our ancestors lived in got that cold overnight, even across Africa during wet seasons at higher elevations. The second major danger was flooding inside caves and rock shelters. Most places early humans lived sat near hillsides or close to rivers, so heavy rain often meant sudden flash floods. Archaeologists have actually found thick layers of flood sediment inside caves that people were living in at the time. Some of those flooded layers were so severe that the caves were simply abandoned and never lived in again. And the third danger, maybe the worst of them all, was predators. Rain pushed animals into shelter too. And sometimes that shelter happened to be the exact same cave humans were hiding in. Certain cave sites in South Africa contain both human remains and large cat remains, buried within the same layers of earth. Some of those human skulls even show puncture marks that match leopard teeth almost perfectly. So rain didn't just make daily life uncomfortable for early humans. It compressed their entire world into one tight space. Humans, predators, and prey all got squeezed together into the same small, dry shelters at the exact same time. And in the middle of all that danger, one single job mattered more than anything else: keeping that fire alive. Here's why that job was so genuinely terrifying. Before roughly 40,000 years ago, we're still not entirely sure how reliably early humans could actually start a fire completely from scratch. Evidence of controlled fire use stretches back at least 400,000 years to a site called Kesem Cave in Israel, and possibly close to 1,000,000 years at Wonderwork Cave in South Africa. But here's the key difference. Controlling a fire that already exists and creating a brand new one from nothing are 2 completely different skills entirely. For most of human history, most people probably couldn't manage the second one at all. So if your fire ever went out, there was a real chance you couldn't relight it. You'd have to carry a burning ember from somewhere else instead. And some groups genuinely did exactly that. They transported smoldering coals wrapped carefully inside green leaves, or packed tightly inside a woody mushroom called tinder fungus, which could hold a spark and smolder quietly for hours at a time. It basically worked like a biological lighter. And this isn't just guesswork on our part either. When researchers found Ötzi the Iceman, that frozen body preserved in the Alps for over 5,000 years, he was carrying a complete fire-starting kit tucked inside his belt pouch: tinder fungus, flint, iron pyrite for striking sparks, and extra plant tinder kept as backup. Even 5,000 years ago, losing your fire was considered serious enough that people carried dedicated equipment just to prevent it from happening. So when heavy rain finally hit a camp, the very first priority was never shelter. It was the fire. Move it deeper into the cave. Shield it carefully, using hides or brush. Feed it slowly and carefully. Never too much wood at once. Never too little either. Search out dead lower branches from coniferous trees, the ones still protected beneath the canopy above, which usually stayed dry underneath even during storms. Split open soaked logs to reach the dry wood hidden safely inside. Use birch bark for kindling, since birch contains a natural chemical called betulin that actually keeps burning even while wet. One person's entire job during a long rainstorm might simply be sitting beside that fire for hours straight, feeding it, shielding it, making absolutely sure it never died out completely. Because that fire truly was everything. It provided warmth, light, safety, cooked food, and stood at the center of every single social interaction the group ever had together. Letting it die wasn't just careless behavior. It was potentially fatal for every single person in the group. Alright, so the fire is burning steadily now, and you're mostly dry, but you still can't leave the cave. So what exactly do you do with all that time? You start making things. The archaeological record is remarkably clear on this point. Caves and rock shelters everywhere are absolutely packed with evidence of careful manufacturing work. Stone tools sit in every possible stage of production. Piles of flaking debris, those tiny rock chips that fly off while someone shapes a tool, show up concentrated in very specific spots inside caves, exactly where a person would sit near firelight and work patiently for hours on end. But it wasn't only stone tools being made. At Blombo's cave in South Africa, archaeologists uncovered a 100,000-year-old ochre processing workshop, complete with abalone shells used as mixing bowls, ochre ground carefully into fine powder, and bone tools used to stir and apply it. This wasn't just basic survival behavior. This was deliberate production with real intention behind it. Someone sat inside that cave, likely while rain pounded relentlessly outside, and manufactured pigment on purpose, following a careful system. Bone needles start appearing in the archaeological record around 1,000 years ago in South Africa, later spreading across Europe and Asia as well. These are delicate, precise tools featuring tiny drilled eyes. You simply don't make a bone needle while running from danger. You make one while sitting completely still, deeply focused, with plenty of hours to spare. Rainy days gave ancient people exactly that kind of time. Now here's where the story becomes genuinely fascinating. At a Neanderthal site called Abri du Maras in France, archaeologists discovered a tiny fragment of twisted plant fiber string dating back roughly 52,000 years, the oldest direct evidence of string ever found anywhere. At Hohlfels Cave in Germany, researchers uncovered a 35,000-year-old tool carved from mammoth ivory, featuring 4 holes and spiral grooves designed specifically for twisting plant fibers into rope. Someone sat patiently in that cave and carved an actual dedicated rope-making device. Making rope is slow, repetitive work that demands real patience, making it the perfect activity for a bad weather day. And rope changed absolutely everything for early humans. It let them tie things securely together, build sturdier shelters, create effective snares and traps, and bind sharp tools onto solid handles. An incredible share of human technology still runs on simple string today, and string was almost certainly invented by someone stuck indoors, waiting patiently for the endless rain to finally stop falling outside their shelter. So the next time rain traps you inside with nothing planned, remember this. Somewhere, long ago, a person sat through that exact same storm, feeding a fire, twisting fiber into rope, grinding pigment for paint, or simply talking through the dark. Boredom wasn't really an option back then. Rain forced patience, and patience quietly built the tools, stories, and skills that carried humanity forward into everything that came next.